Hello and welcome to the Northwest Treatment Vidcast.
Hello, Jessica.
Hey, Léa. I believe that today we're going to be talking about the pros and cons of meditation.
Yes.
We were talking about it and we wanted to add something new to the channel. So in the future, who knows how long it'll take us to get it up and running, but we wanted to actually provide some guided meditations for you all. And given that, we thought we might take an opportunity to talk more about meditation and the pros and the cons. So Léa, what have you found out so far?
So this is a topic that's definitely close to my heart. This is something that I try to practice very much. And so I'm going to start with the pros of meditation, which is one, you can do it anywhere. You can do it in the car, not when you're driving. Please don't drive while you're doing a meditation. But you can do it like as a passenger, you can do it in your office, you can do it at home, you can do it at the park, you can pretty much do it wherever you are, which is lovely. So it's portable, which is awesome. It's not hard to start, really. Like you can start with anything from like 5 minutes or learning how to breathe or paying attention to your breath. And you can move yourself up in time fairly quickly, which is, again, like it's just like any other skill. You have to practice it to get better at it.
Sure.
There's many different types of meditation. There's mindfulness, which is what I tend to practice, and that's paying attention in the present moment on purpose without judgment. Mm-hmm. There's loving kindness, which is my second favorite type of meditation, where you breathe out loving kindness to the world and you breathe in the loving kindness from the world, which is always needed in my opinion.
Sure.
There's something called transcendental meditations, which I'm not as familiar with. I don't practice that one very much or at all. If I have done it, I'm not sure. And the list of types of meditation just go on and on and on and on. Like there are so many out there. You start to see the benefits of doing meditations fairly quickly. Like for me, it takes about 2 or 3 days after I restart my practice for me to start feeling that calmness or that ability to take a pause before I have an action rather than doing a reaction.
Okay.
And the one part I really love is that meditation is not based in a religion. When I first started practicing, people were worried about it being Buddhist or being something else. And my meditation teacher brought up the story that there was a research that was done actually on Buddhist monks and Catholic priests to see what the difference was between praying or between what they formerly would have called a meditation. And what they found is actually both groups of men, because it was men that they had tested,
Sure.
The same part of their brain lit up.
Got it. So it's not specific to a faith/religion specifically. No. It's just how you're using your time and your brain.
Yeah, which I absolutely love that you could, like, it just goes across the board, which is amazing to me. And you can do it by yourself or you can do it with other people. Like you can do a silent meditation by yourself, or you can be in a group with other meditators. And personally, like I love leading meditations. It makes me feel a lot more focused and in the present moment. But it also makes me feel a lot more connected to other people because I can see that you're getting into it and I can feel your energy. And it's just, I love that. And then meditation actually can help you with healthier choices because again, it's giving you that pause before you do, or you make a decision that you wouldn't necessarily make if you were in the best space in your brain.
Sure. Okay.
So there are cons to meditation. One thing is it can bring up old wounds. And being careful with that, right? Like if you've never meditated before, emotions can come up with meditation. Like it definitely has happened to me where I'm meditating and my brain took me somewhere and I wasn't able to go back and focus on my breath, which is very much the basis for mindfulness meditations.
Sure.
And then all of a sudden I'm like in tears and my friends are like, what's going on? Are you okay? And I'm like crying going, I'm fine. I don't know what's happening. Like emotions can come up.
Sure. So maybe if you have, or you know that you have trauma or mental health in your past, to just be a little more aware of that beforehand?
A little bit. And actually it's going to go into one of my other points later on, but I'll talk about it now, which is it's not always indicated to do meditations for folks who've been diagnosed with hallucinations, who have flashbacks.
Sure.
Or because it can make things a little bit worse for you actually. And so with those folks, I would always advise please be screened by a professional who also does do meditations, who
Right.
knows what the process of it looks like.
Get more information.
Exactly. And if you want to get into meditation, then finding yourself a teacher that is either your therapist who does also practice meditations, or a meditation teacher who understands that these things can happen and knows
Right.
how to help you find a therapist if you need one afterwards.
Sounds good.
Always making sure those things occur. The other things that are cons is, this is time consuming. It's not a pill. You need to make the time for yourself to have a meditation. I have 2 little kids under the age of 6, and it's not easy for me to find time sometimes to be able to do meditations, to the point where I use it as an excuse not to meditate, because I'm like, I got the kids, I can't do it. When really it's like, I just didn't make the time for myself sometimes.
Right. And a lot of times they talk about it being daily.
Yeah.
And that can be hard.
To see benefits, you need, the last research I had seen was you need to do it for about 5 to 10 minutes daily, or you can also do longer meditations every other day. So like 20 minutes or so. But my meditation teachers were always big advocates of like 10 minutes on the cushion every day, like at least 10 minutes.
Sure.
And that tends to be doable for me. Like 10 minutes I'm okay with. You put it up to 15 and there's a mental block to it. I'm like, no, I can't. The other thing is it can be uncomfortable physically and emotionally. The emotional part we already talked about, but the physical part, you're having to sit with your shoulders back, and you got to make sure that your posture is tall and dignified and relaxed at the same time, which is the biggest like oxymoron in my world.
Right.
And yet I find a way to do it. But kind of knowing that, and I have back pain issues. And so I've had to learn how to sit or sometimes kneel in such a position that makes me feel better.
Right.
The other thing is also, we live in a fast-paced world. And
yes.
It's hard to take that moment to breathe.
Right. And making sure that you have the time or space, that you have your electronic devices off, to actually create intentionally that space for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the very last one that I had as to what's a con is that sometimes it just doesn't work. There's certain types of folks that I know who have a very hard time with formal meditations, but they do really well usually with other forms of meditation, like walking, or sports can be a form of meditation in some ways, where you're hyper focused on your breathing when you're running, of that kind of stuff. So the sitting down meditation that you think of like what Buddha did, or the thing, doesn't always work for everybody. You got to be careful with that.
Sure.
And so a question that comes up for people towards me is, why do I meditate? Partially, I like the challenge of it. I always love it when I'm able to do like 10 or 15 days in a row. I'm like, yeah, I got this. So it's definitely an ego boost there. And I'm not too afraid to admit to that one. But the other thing is, really, it does make me feel better. Like, I definitely notice a difference in myself, my ability to focus, my ability to work, my ability to just be human. Goes way up when I meditate, as opposed to when I don't. And I get a lot shorter with my ability to care for other people.
Sounds like it's a pretty good practice you've got for yourself.
I try.
Well, that's great. Well, thank you very much for sharing, so that we can let everyone know some of the pros and cons before we start providing some guided meditations down the road.
And so with that, we wish you guys to be healthy and to be well.
Thanks.